here's how you create a piecewise defined function in Desmos. The syntax is shown down here. The g of x function is defined in several pieces, each of which is separated by a comma. And each piece, you write the domain, and then a colon, and then the name of the function that you want to display over that interval of x values. So here's an example. I've got g of x. The domain is x less than negative 2, which corresponds to this piece here. And then the function I want to display there is f1, which I've defined up here. You could type the equation directly in here, so I could have typed sine x, but typically the expressions get rather unwieldy when you do that, so I think it's nicer to name your functions separately, because that makes it easier to see them and to edit them. Okay, let's try it live in Desmos. Here we are. So I'm going to name f of x, x squared, let's say plus 2. That's what it looks like. If you wanted to restrict the domain right here, you could by adding a curly brace like this. So I could say x less than 2, for example, and you see I've restricted the domain. But let's continue on defining them piecewise. Here I'll define the constant function y equals 6. And now let's define h of x to be a combination of those two. So I'll type a domain first, let's say x less than or equal to 2, and then a colon, and then my f of x function. For the second piece, I'll type comma, and then another domain, let's say x larger than 4, and then a colon, and then my g function. And now if I hide my two original functions, you can see that I've defined it piecewise here. If you wanted them to come together, I could just change the domain of the original. So I could make this greater than 3, nope, greater than 2, and now they've come together. If I wanted to switch which was which, I could say, okay, let's display the constant function in the interval where x is less than 2, and let's display the parabola when x is greater than 2. And I know it doesn't look like a parabola until you zoom out a little bit. But that hopefully shows you how you can control the domains and the functions separately. And if I wanted a third, I could put a comma and continue on with as many pieces as I wanted.